Namaste. The Sanskrit term Ananda means happiness and also bliss. The English term bliss refers to a state of complete happiness that is unaffected by anything else. Happiness and bliss do not come from outside, but they are born in one's own mind by the way they perceive an object, a situation, or life in general. Satchidananda or Satchit Ananda means existence, awareness, and bliss. The important thing to note is that achieving bliss necessitates the complete absence of all attributes, no emotions, no memories, no attachments, but merely being one's own original true self. Now think about it. Let's say you went through an unpleasant situation some years ago in which someone treated you badly, insulted you, and hurled abuse at you. It has already been many years, and therefore the thought of that incident was probably pushed into your cache memory. However, the moment you recall it and think about it, you feel agitated and emotional. It has a direct impact on your heart rate and on your lipid levels. If the incident you can remember was particularly bad, you might even feel queasy in your stomach. All because you merely thought of something that happened many years ago. Whoever hurt you may have completely forgotten what they did, or they may not even be around anymore. Thoughts are extremely powerful, and they are the ones that drive all actions performed by man. People perform actions according to their general attitude, or as I call it, the mental system configuration, which is formed by the particular ratio of the three gunas in everyone. A person who has gone beyond the gunas and has perfect self-control over his or her mind is said to have attained the divine nature of Krishna. That's right. Shloka 4:19. Nanyam gunebhya kartaram yada drashtalu pashyati gunebhyascha param vetti madbhavam sodigacchati. Krishna says, the one who recognizes the gunas alone as the agent of all actions and treats the self to be above the gunas achieves my divine nature, which means Krishna's divine nature. Shloka 2:45. Traigunya vishaya veda nistraigunya bhavarjana nirdvandvo nityasatvastho niryogakshema atmavan. Vedic literature deals with subjects that fall under the three gunas. Arjuna, you should rise above the three, be free from dualities and anxiety about acquisition and preservation, always remain in sattva or goodness, and be established in the self. Nirdvandvo nityasatvastho, be free from dualities and always remain in goodness. Shloka 5:3. Nyeyaha sa nitya sannyasi yona dveshtina kankshati nirdvandvo hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. A person who neither hates nor desires the results of his actions is known to be a sannyasi, or one who has renounced everything. Such a person is free from dualities and is therefore liberated from karmic bondage. What is the main duality that influences the mind of most people, especially the so-called religious people? That duality is nothing but that of God and I. They strongly believe that there is, or that there are, separate beings known as gods, among whom each has a particular unique appearance, attributes, and an official name. They're also fully convinced that in order to achieve pleasures in life, they would have to please those gods and deities. The next problem that arises is which god to please, and this leads to the my god and your god conflict. This is exactly the source of all mental worries, fears, and a whole lot of other negative emotions. Even after Krishna repeatedly asked Arjuna to completely destroy the duality in his mind and to work on realizing the divinity of himself, the people of today who claim to be religious leaders lead their followers deeper and deeper into intellectual darkness with their nonsensical stories, rituals, and beliefs. The only fuel that powers those influential people who divide society into groups and cults is the ignorance of the masses of at least the basics of the fundamental principles of Vedanta. Now here is an analogy of a journey by car. What are the things that you would normally do before you set out on a long journey by car? You would begin by ensuring that your car is well serviced, filled up with fuel, and that its tires are inflated to the pressure recommended by the manufacturer, wouldn't you? It is because the prime requirement for your journey is your car, and its good condition is of utmost importance to your journey. In the journey of life, the prime requirement is a healthy body, which is the car that you use to travel through the journey of your life. The other essential requirement is, of course, a healthy and balanced mind. Everything else comes later. The mind is usually clouded by ignorance, attachments, emotions, and other debilitating factors, the reason for which can be directly attributed to one's mistaking their mind to be their self. The truth is that the mind is a tool, or rather an interface between the all-pervading eternal self and the organic system called the living body that the self activates, powers, and permits to function. Great sages have defined and described the mind in various ways. However, my personal understanding of the mind is that it is a certain pattern of thoughts, of the flow of thoughts in a person, which is based on genetic factors, upbringing, surroundings, education experiences, and other such attitude influencing factors. This pattern can be consciously altered through introspection, contemplation, study, research, observation, advice from wise well-wishers, or by force from an external factor. One's overall attitude, which, as I said earlier, is a particular combination or ratio of the strengths of the gunas, of the three gunas, namely Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas in them, actually makes the person. Shloka 2 of the Amrita Bindu Upanishad says, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha moksha yoho bandhaya vishayasaktam mukti nirvishayam smrutam. It means the mind is the main reason for the bondage and liberation of all human beings. A mind attached to objects has been said to be the cause of bondage, and a mind devoid of desires and thoughts is the cause of liberation. In the light of this, it would be wise to make sure that the body and the mind are in good shape before beginning any activity that is not necessary for survival or existence, such as religious rites, rituals, temple visits, dressing up in orange, or pretending to be a highly evolved soul, wouldn't it? For the body, one could adopt a pure vegan diet that is balanced and engage in regular exercise. For the mind, one could start studying Vedanta, beginning with the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Without a doubt, what I mean by studying the Srimad Bhagavad Gita is learning the philosophy and applying it to one's own nature and way of life, rather than mindlessly and aimlessly repeating them. The core of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita's philosophy is the practice of nishkama karma, or selfless action through self-realization. If you would like to remain devoted to Krishna and always do things as taught in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, but find it difficult to remember all that you study in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, I'll give you 5 shlokas. These are 5 shlokas that you can apply in your life and follow at all times. You could also get these shlokas from my website, bit.ly/tvmgita, print them and paste them on your wall. 1. Shloka 247. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhur mate sangostra karmani. You only have the right to work, but never to claim its results. The results of your actions should never be a motive, but at the same time, you should not be attached to inaction. 2. Shloka 10:20. Ahamatma gurakesha sarvabhutasha yastitaha ahamadischa madhyamcha bhutanamanta evacha. Krishna says, I am the self, Gurakesha, situated within all living entities. I am the origin, the middle, and also the end of all beings. 3. Shloka 11:55. Matkarma krunmat paramo madbhaktaha sangavarjitaha nirvairaha sarvabhuteshu yassamameti pandava. The one who is engaged in doing my work and considers me the supreme goal is free from contamination of the mind with previous activities and doubts, is free from attachment, has no enmity towards any creature, and is friendly with every living entity, certainly comes to me, O Arjuna. Shloka 4 and 5, 12, 18 and 19. Samashatro cha mitrecha tathamana pamana yoho shitoshana sukhadukkeshu samasanga vivarjitaha tulya nindastu tirmoni santushto yena kenachit aniketaha sthiramatir bhaktiman me priyo naraha. He to whom foe and friend are the same, who faces equally honor and dishonor, is the same in cold and heat as well as in pleasure and pain, is free from attachment, to whom admonishment and praise are equal, who is silent, remains content with whatever comes to him, is not attached to the place he stays in, and is of a steady mind, full of devotion, is dear to me. When you even begin to start studying Vedanta, you will straight away get rid of ridiculous fears of antagonizing or aggravating something called God, Devas or Devis and whatnot. You will enter the path that leads to self-realization, and you will not only merely comprehend, but you will truly experience the truth that there is not and cannot be anything apart or beyond your inner awareness of I am or Aham Asmi. With both the body and mind in perfect working condition, the self is all set for an enjoyable, enriching and fulfilling journey called life as an individual. Therefore, the 3 steps are: 1. A vegan diet, 2. Regular exercise, and 3. Studying Vedanta. Vedanta is the end goal or peak of all Vedic studies, which is nothing but self-realization. Would anyone deliberately keep their children in primary school and prevent them from going higher and graduating? Even people from economically weaker sections work harder to finance their children's education. Why then, in the field of spiritual pursuits, people refuse to go higher but prefer to remain stuck in the much inferior stages of karma-kanda of the Vedas, performing self-centered, meaningless rituals, and not proceeding towards Vedanta? Let me sum it all up. Your good health and well-being takes precedence over everything and everyone else. For whatever you wish to do in life, you need to be healthy and intellectually balanced. Do you remember the announcement they made the last time you flew in a commercial aircraft? The stewardess must have instructed all passengers that in the event of low pressure and when the oxygen masks drop from the overhead compartment, passengers should first put on their own masks, breathe normally, and then help others with theirs. That's how it goes. Your physical and mental health take priority over everyone and everything else. It is only when you are in a fit condition would you be able to be of use to others, let alone save them from trouble. On the one hand, we had great sages such as Adi Shankaracharya and his even more amazing teachers, and many other accomplished sages. But on the other, we have a number of modern-day pseudo-gurus, some of whom, in fact, take pride in saying that they have read neither the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, nor the Brahma Sutras. Be cautious when choosing whose footsteps you follow. You only live twice. Shall I explain to you what I meant by that? Well, one part of your life is over, and the remaining part of your life, or your second life, begins now, at this very moment. Do not complicate life. It's not worth it, because doing so robs you of your limited time and prevents you from truly living and experiencing life. The magic of life is happening now and in every moment of your life. Why waste it on bizarre beliefs, on something that happened in the past or something you fear might happen in the future? They're all clearly non-existent, aren't they? I, as a person who has been on the edge of life multiple times, can state from my own experience a great truth with absolute certainty. It is that in those final moments, which everyone will surely have to pass at the end of their life, all that would matter to a person would be how well and how fully they have lived their life, the experiences they have had, and most certainly not how much material wealth they created. I suggest my other video titled The Two Truths of Life. I will soon be talking about those crazy moments in my life when I felt it was almost over. No, I was not afraid, but on the contrary, I was actually eagerly trying to stay conscious. Do you know why? Because I wanted to fully experience those last moments rather than go away without even experiencing the crescendo of life. The term crescendo that I used to describe physical death was inspired by a well-known talk on life and death by none other than the one and only Osho, whose genius until today remains unparalleled. Learn to be a Citta and practice Stoicism. Take a look at Shlokas 254 and 55. Face life happily and gratefully. The Stoic philosopher of ancient Rome, Seneca, said, "Fate leads the willing and drags the reluctant." Maintaining a calm, composed, balanced, and fearless mind is the first step towards the supreme goal of Atma-jnana or self-realization. Let us all strive to stay healthy, strong, courageous, and virtuous, and may each one of us live the life of a responsible soul. Thank you. Stay blessed. Jai Shri Krishna.